Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner, and this is the follow-up video to the Q&A announcement I did before. So you guys had questions, I'm going to answer them, and we've got a few to talk about today, so let's just get right into it as I have some stuff from my PlayStation 4 going on in the background, with the exception of one question. So both GBunter18 and Delta Hero 787 ask, how do I proxy out my cards? So Vanguard cards follow the same instructions as Yu-Gi-Oh! Proxies because they are the same size. So you open up your Microsoft Word and then you just take your image from the wiki, paste it in there, and then you highlight the card and click on Picture, which allows you to alter its dimensions. And my settings are in centimeters, so 8.6 centimeters height and 5.88 centimeters tall with the aspect ratio locked. For inches, that amounts to 3.3 inches high and 2.32 inches wide. And then you just print them off, and that's pretty much it. Now, if you don't have Microsoft Word and well, I don't know what else to really use because I've tried making proxies on Paint and it didn't work. And WordPad also doesn't let you alter the stuff. So if you don't happen to have access to Microsoft Word, I'm afraid you're a little hooped in that regard. Otherwise, you just take a piece of paper and then you just write down the name of the card and you just slide it in. And then you just happen to have like the actual card on hand on your phone, such as, and you can just bring it up on Wiki and you just read off. Because as long as you and your friends know what the card is, they should be able to go, oh yeah, that's a Dragonic Vanquisher. I know what that thing does. Okay. And you just go from there. Like, you just use your imagination and you should be good to go. I Am Kion asks, what is your take on an early Aggro Force matchup for Vanquisher? For example, Gears with the with Irkab Nabu, I'm assuming that's the double R grade 2 that gives an extra check, pushing you to 3 damage and going to force 2 for an endgame damage deny damage pressure build. That example doesn't really work because Vanquisher, it's difficult to damage deny Vank, as all they really need is just 1 or 2 counterblasts, and they're good. If they happen to have more counterblasts, that just means they can extend harder, but for the most part, the major plays of the deck come off of Jaggy Shock Dragoon, which costs no counterblast, and now Voltec Shred Dragon, which costs the soul. You've got Dragonic Death Scythe as removal for soul, and like all the deck really uses is 1 to 2 counterblasts in a turn, 1 for Vanquisher to get the bind 3, and then 1 for the Cho-Oh restand, 2 if they're using the Cho-Oh removal effect, or 1 for the Voltage Horn Dragon. But for the most part, I don't think that really works. And the thing is, if you're trying to push that early, you're either committing your hand down on the turn 1, turn 2, only to get your shit removed, and that's not a good thing for the Fang deck that doesn't like its cards getting yeeted out. Or you're trying to go in really hard on that turn 3, but since you're using Force 2, you won't have the ability to hit for high numbers, which was like a thing that BT was able to do. It was able to apply pressure with high numbers, and therefore it should be easier for the Vanquisher deck to guard that. And you end your turn, but you've left yourself with a board, and Vanquisher can just ride Vanquisher and call the Jaggy Shot down, and it can just pop off. And it's able to build up the hand necessary to guard against any further turns from the Gear Chronicle going onwards, because that's the thing about the Vanquisher deck, is it's able to build hand while also being able to combo. And yeah, I don't think that Aldea really works. Now, if we're talking about Claret Sword, then I think you can make a better case for that, because that deck is able to hit numbers with Force 2 applied to it, which is probably going to be more problematic for the Dragonic Vanquisher deck, as if Shadows go first, and they get that Claret Sword restand on that grade 3 ride turn, with also having, what's it called, Morion Spear Dragon, able to hit for really high numbers, then yeah, then you can... Vanquisher might not be able to live through that. But if they do live through that, then they should be able to clap the Shadow Paladin player back. So that would be that. And as far as like other relevant force decks in the meta go, there aren't really any others, because there is Riviere, but like we were already doing decent against Riviere to begin with, so I don't see that much changing. The Pacifica might be a different story. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think Genesis is going to be much of an factor. Like, that deck's high rolling to begin with, so if they have it, they have it. And it's just simply we wait on Jet, Asha, and Altmile to see what happens from there. Flamelord 325 asks, so Blue Star, would you ever make a video of playing Premium Narukami on area for shits and giggles? Also, what do you think of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s in the new Master Rule revisions? So, second one first, I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s is going to be my cup of tea. I'll give it a try for an episode or two, but if I find it to just be too kiddie or such, then I'm just going to drop it because I know I'm not the intended demographic for that show. And then, as far as the Master Rule revisions go, for the most part, I like it. I am a bit disappointed. That means we're going to start seeing some of the older degenerate decks that Master Rule 4 kept down, like Dark Synchro. I fucking hate that deck, or just anything that just relentlessly attacks the hand. That shit kind of just needs to, like, not exist. But I know I'm in the minority of that. I also say that because I'm also not, like, that kind of player. But, yeah, like, if... I'm hoping that Master Rule 5, following that, we'll see a ban list that addresses some of the issues that will stem from Master Rule 5. I do think some cards are going to get hit because of it. Instant Fusion becomes really, really good because of this rule change. Because now you can just summon your Millennium Eyes Restrict and have an immediate answer to hand traps and still have access to your extra monster zone to continue comboing, which I think will be part of the reason why Instant Fusion gets banned, aside from the fact that it's just a free link material or rank material or whatnot. Older decks will get better, obviously. Some of my decks become much better, such as Thunder Dragon. I can now just freely summon Titans and such and not have to worry about making room for the via my extra monster zone. Nightmare Phoenix gets a lot better because now you can just summon it to the extra monster zone and not have to worry about getting rid of it, so you can continue to put monsters out on the field. I might even play Dragoonity again, who knows? Depends on how I'm feeling. Like, Phoenix Flare X has already posted up a combo for what you can do with that deck in Master 05, and it is, of course, a pretty silly looking board. And, what else is there really to say about the Master Visions? Link monsters are definitely not going away. They're still the easiest to use extra deck monster mechanic, and we'll definitely see Link decks running around. Archetypes, from this point going onwards, it'll be a matter of how good are they on their own, and how can they use the existing extra mechanics, especially links, because if any of them are able to access to some of the really powerful but archetype or type locked links, then they may be worth looking at. It also changes how legacy support is going to be made too, because Konami doesn't have to worry about making these legacy support alongside having to introduce a link monster to make said legacy support work. Now they can just make legacy support and not have to worry about that kind of stuff. So it'll hopefully lead to some more interesting set design, but after seeing the Gaia the Fierce Knight stuff for the Rise of the Duelist set, I am not holding my breath in that regard. And as far as playing Premium Narukami on area for shits and giggles, maybe. Standard Plus doesn't look like that awful of a deck anymore. Now, if you're trying to make, say, Sparking or Sweep Command work, then you're going to have a bad time, because Sparking is I mean, it's probably a decent backup to, like, Standard Vanquisher, but, like, the Thunderstrike deck has obviously never really been that good, and Sweep Command is just too slow, so, like, you're not going to get his Limit Break off. And I would not recommend playing that. But if you play basically like the current standard deck, Tekken a copy of G-Set 2 Dragonic Vanquisher, and yeah, just I kind of go from there, because like Dragonic Vanquisher Voltage would be a pretty good finishing play, and Hard Draw Draco Kid actually counts towards standard Vanquisher's 3 binds to get to the 10k. So you could actually you can Hard Rod Rest, bind one other drop, and as long as you get 2 more binds off from anywhere that turn, then you get the plus 10k, so you could potentially just smash your opponent's face in if you get the first grade 3 ride, and then fall back on G guards, and then just on the following turn, if you somehow live through your opponent's stride turn, then you could stride into Voltage, and as long as you have 4 more cards bound, then you could just do more shit with Jaggy Shots and whatnot, because yeah, Jaggy Shot Dragoon works with classic Dragonic Vanquisher. And yeah, that would be my thoughts on those subjects. Let's go. Adamus0 asks, hi Blue Star, with the release of premium collections coming out, what would you wish Narukami to get as an upgrade in the form of a Strider support? Is there any way for the clan to be any form of playable within the format? And finally, with the new release moving into Vanquisher, do you wish for us to get older but upgraded decks, such as Descendant or Sweep Command? So, as far as older decks I would like to see come back, I really want Big Bang Knuckle Buster to come back into the game, because fuck it, that deck was cool. It was a fucking Fist of the North Star deck, and punching people's boards was great. Now, how they would make brawlers work in the new format, I don't know. They have a decent-ish stride in Big Bang Knuckle Turbo. It is on attack, get rid of 2, which is honestly better than most of our other first strides. And that's saying something, because Big Bang Knuckle Turbo is nerfed unless you're in Legion, but it gets plus 5k and can punch 3 things. That's pretty cool. So there is that, and yeah, I just really want to see brawlers back. As far as the first part of the question, what would I wish for an upgrade or for strider support? So I was talking about this with some guys in Discords, and I am 100% serious when I say I think the stride we get out of that set could very well be Dungaree. Because think of what Dungaree's playstyle was. Self-bind to achieve a means to an end. What does Vanquisher do? It self-binds to get to its end goal. So I could see Dungaree coming in, and then he either binds from your hand or from your deck in order to remove your opponent's board while also enabling your own abilities. So, theoretical skill. When this unit is placed, you make your opponent move their cards from the back row up to empty circles in the front row. Then, on attack, flip one, choose any number of cards from your hand and bind them. Choose an equal number of front row rear guards and bind them. If a total of 3 or more cards were bound this way, this unit gets plus 5. This unit gets plus 1 critical and drive plus 1. Also, continuous, during your turn, if 4 or more cards from either player were bound, all units in your front row get power plus 15,000, and your opponent must call a minimum of 2 cards from their hand in order to guard, just like Battledore. So yes, that's right, I just made an on-attack Morfessa that removes shit and enables both Shatra, Bajran, and Rising Phoenix, and yeah, makes your front row big and scary, and your opponent has to use multiple cards to guard it. As a first stride, I think you give him something like this, then you got something. Also, because it's got Dungaree in the name, then random Dungaree support also is useful. Sure, fuck it, why not? So, yeah, TLDR, I think we could get a Dungaree stride as long as it acts something like standard Vanquisher. As a first stride, we got something, and as far as old cards coming back into standard, I want brawlers, goddammit. Drive Check asks, what do you think of the recent ban list for Yu-Gi-Oh! And what anime are you interested in watching? So, as far as what I'm interested in watching, once I finish Trails of Cold Steel 3 and a couple of other games in my RPG backlog, I plan on going back and finishing Zoid's Genesis, because I'm about 10 episodes into that and I was liking it. I also want to watch Demon Slayer, Konosuba, Shield Hero. I'm also somewhat interested in Cautious Hero. And you might be thinking, Jesus, that's a lot of isekai. Okay, it's only 2, but mind you, I missed out on the big isekai boom of the yesteryears. I never watched Sword Art Online. I made it a point to not bother watching it outside of the abridged series, as from what I've heard, Sword Art Online is a heaping pile of trash after its first season. And what else? I haven't watched an isekai in a very long time. I think the last one I watched, if you can count it as that, is Dot Hack GU. No, not Dot Hack GU. Dot Hack Sign. If we go by the whole trapped in another world thing, then that's probably the last one I've seen. I also remember Vision of Escaflowne. That was also an isekai. Probably one of the earlier ones, too. But otherwise, I haven't really watched that genre. And obviously, I do love my mecha, so I also want to watch Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise, because apparently that's actually good, as opposed to the previous Gundam Build Divers, which was not good, and which is kind of surprising, because I was like, man, the Build series isn't looking too good now after Divers, and then what happens? They come up with Re-Rise, and apparently it's really great. I also kind of want to check out Iron Blooded Orphans. I never got around to that one. I think the last Gundam series I sat down and watched from start to finish, if we don't count the Build series, was Double O, and that was a long time ago. But that's because age just was not my cup of tea. Let's see, Goblin Slayer movie, if I haven't mentioned that already. Oh yeah, Code Geass had its movie come out recently. I do want to check that out. It looks interesting. Because, yeah, I watched the original Geass and R2, so I probably should check out the movie just to finish it off. I do know that's a different continuity to the original Code Geass because it follows the compilations, and I know Shirley lives in that. Spoiler alert, by the way. But that'll be once I get through my RPG stuff. But in order to do that, I have to finish Cold Steel 3, and then I also have to. By the time I finish that out, I'm pretty certain Final Fantasy VII Remake will be out, and then Persona 5 The Royale is also coming out not that long afterwards. So that's 3 back-to-back-to-back massive JRPGs I'm going to be going through. So the anime will not be for quite a bit, probably May, if I may be honest. So there's that. As far as the Yu-Gi-Oh ban list goes, it did its job, but it also didn't do its job. This is probably the best way to describe it. Because, like, sure, they killed Striker and brutalized Orcust and Thunder Dragon. Salad is still very much alive, playable, and topping. But I don't think what they wanted happened, which was kill the old decks, people play the new stuff. But the problem is, the new stuff was terrible. Like, from Rising Rampage onwards, the new archetypes were garbage, and we have a new deck coming to the fold in the form of Shaddoll invoked, but is that really a new deck? Because it's an old strategy being helped by another old strategy. It's a good strategy, don't get me wrong, but like, look at the top decks right now: Spiral, Shaddoll, Salamangreat, um, Luna Light, and a host of many others. Most of the top decks right now are all old archetypes, which means people aren't really buying new stuff, and that usually makes Konami upset. But for the most part, though, from a play point standpoint, the format's varied, and there are a lot of decks that you can expect to play. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to be going up against at this regionals I'm heading to next weekend, assuming weather holds up, by the way. But, like, I think there's going to be Shaddoll and Salamangreat as the most played, but usually on a regional level, I will see just about anything out there, and my side is going to be having to be really well thought out. Granted, I think for the most part, the side has not changed from last format to new format. It's still Dark Ruler no more, Nibiru evenly matched, Twin Twisters, Cosmic Cyclones, Lightning Storms if you have them. Just like your outs for combo, your outs for back row, and then you're in between, especially if you're playing a go second deck, then you have things to go first, such as Artifact Sanctum and Lancia, Scythe, Sanctum and Scythe, maybe Sanctum, maybe Sanctum, maybe Lancia, we'll have to see. Dimensional Barrier could be something good too. Once I figure out what deck I'm playing, I'm torn between either Rocket Link or Dinosaurs. It depends if I can find Pot of Extravagances in time. Then I have a good idea of what I'm going to be doing for my side. So there is that. April ban list will be putting in some work, I feel, because they're going to have to make this one in order to offset shit from Master Rule 5. And as I alluded to earlier, I'm not particularly fond of some decks going into it. I'm also surprised at some of the ban list hits that they made and some of the non-hits they did. So they banned Brilliant Fusion for I don't know what reason, because Gem Knight can still FTK, just fucking hit Lapis Lazuli and you deal with that problem. And like, if you hit Lapis Lazuli, I'm pretty certain every other Gem Knight deck card on the list can just come off, because what are you going to do with Gem Knights when you can't FTK? Same thing as before. So just do that and we're good. Mystic Mine is still around when it really shouldn't be. Like, we're seeing top decks now that aren't stun decks play Mine to stun your opponent's board and then break it. And what else? Like, I'm obviously not happy that Colossus and Engage got banned, because I like those decks. I know people will say otherwise. Like, a lot of people didn't like Striker, but I like them. Like, I like a good mid-range deck, and that's what that was a good grindy advantage-based deck, and you just didn't get that very often without being something super floodgatey, and at least not until the very end was Striker that kind of strategy. Like, before, that deck was more just it's disrupted you, made you play at its pace, and it would beat you in advantage, which is really cool, as opposed to something stupid like Altergeist or Guru, which just flips up floodgates and then you can't play, for the most part. Let's see. I am surprised that they unbanned the rank up spell, but I don't really know what it's doing right now. The Earth True King coming back was also a shocker, and it's immediately doing things, because look at how well Dinosaur is performing in the current format. It's a fantastic going second deck. It matches well into Dolls and Spiral. UCT Smash is a strategy that I can very much get behind, and I wish I could play it, but Pot of Extravagance is not getting reprinted in dual power, so I have to wait a bit longer. I do not think that deck is good without Extravagance. Otherwise, I would just play Shaddoll Dinosaurs, and I don't think that's nearly as good as the True King variant. But like, you have things like Lightning Storm and Mind Control in that deck, and they're just so good at breaking boards. But for the most part, yeah, it's like I said before, it's a ban list that does stuff, but also doesn't do stuff. And the April list, I hope, fixes some stuff. Trishula to 1 would also be nice so that we can just put Dark Synchro back in its place as unplayable. And let's see, I think Glow Bulb's also very much on the chopping block. You'll get your couple weeks of it with Halifax, but uh, Bulb's probably going to die. I think Instant Fusion's also very much on the chopping block as time goes on, because I think that card is just very close to being broken. And yeah, so okay list, but I'm curious to see what the one afterwards will do, because it has, I think, an even bigger task of trying to fix shit up. And rounding it out is a question from Mega Monkey 666, who asked me this one in person, but I figured I'd share it on here because it's kind of relevant here, which is, what are my thoughts on how good or bad the Vanguard ban list is? Which, well, obviously as the Naru player, I'm quite happy that my deck didn't get hit too hard. Cho-Oda 2 is nothing compared to seeing Anger Blader go to 1, which is what I did not expect to happen to that deck. Shiryuki went to 1. Thank God, that card is stupid and it should have never been printed. What else is there? Dorian to 1 is also a very good hit. Pale Moon should not be able to draw as many cards as it can for being such a combo deck. Like, I think that deck was able to draw just as much as OTT can. And OTT is supposed to be the clan whose gimmick is drawing cards. But when your combo deck is able to just spit out a board, while also discarding for cost, and still end with a considerable amount of hand advantage against opposing combo, and that's just kind of stupid. I also like Dorian going to 1 on a personal level, because that also means that it's much more difficult for Pale Moon to play around Vanquisher, so that's always a good thing. Riviere getting the hard once per turn should have been that in the first place. Shadow Paladin had to jump through hoops to get Raging Form Dragon to go off on more than once per turn, and here Bermuda Triangle is doing it for literally nothing. So yeah, no, that did not need to happen. What else is there? Okay, so back to Tachikaze. I wanted Sweeper Kokan to go to 1, because I figured that would mean it would be as hard for that deck to just smash you in the face and not get punished for it, because of the whole, oh ho ho, I've got 3 gauges, you can't kill me. But Anger Blade going to 1, that's probably going to kill the deck, if I may be honest. Like, I don't see why you would play Tachis unless you want to be that guy who just plays 1 Anger Blader and no other 3s, and just G-assist all of the games. What else is there to note of in Standard first? Yeah, so like, I think the format following this list will likely be Narukami as arguably the best deck in the format. It looks like it right now, but we'll probably see some decks come in that couldn't compete before because of Riviere, like Claret Sword Dragon. Maybe we'll see more Chrono Fang. I don't know, truth be told. At least after seeing that one guy from the team tournament go 1-7, I don't know how good that deck actually is. Genesis, maybe Angel Feather will come in. I'm really skeptical of that. I think if we're going to see any Protect decks come in because of many Axel decks being killed, it'll probably be Dark Irregulars and maybe Grand Blue, because I think that deck's able to make its field go away so that Vanquisher can't get as many front row binds. So there is that. And as far as premium goes, I've been paying very little attention to it, but like, the hits were definitely justified. I know some people, one in particular, was very upset about Dorian going to 1, but the thing about the hit to Dorian in premium is that it, alongside Flying Periton and standard, what's her face, Purple Trapezist, was allowed you to create this setup that will let you spit out a board, suck it back up, draw cards, and repeat multiple times, which would let you draw a huge amount of hand, and more so, waste time. Like, it would honestly take a Pale Moon player's turn 4 minutes to end. And that is not a good thing. Like, people will often complain about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Will be like these long, drawn out self-touch fests. That's what this Pale Moon deck did, and it needed to go. So, good in that regard. Azel, or rather, Wonder Azel getting banned was needed. I don't know if that's enough to completely kill golds. I think the deck is still very much playable, but it's definitely been brought down to a mortal level. Same for the Riviera hit. Like, the BT was also wrecking shit from what I was told, although we didn't get a chance to see any proper results for that. Neo Nectar surprisingly didn't get hit. I would have, if you told me that Katrina was going to get hit on this list, I would have said, yeah, that makes sense. But no, it didn't get hit. So, yeah, they're sticking around. And Dark Irregulars are also somehow free from the ban list, which is disappointing because I really do think that Gas Steel Stride needs to be addressed. Like, it just enables too much degeneracy, and that's not okay. So, as long as DI and Neo Nectar are untouched by the list, a lot of other decks aren't simply going to be able to compete because they're just too slow to get rolling, such as Luard or Standard plus Narukami. Yes, I did say that unironically because, as I said before, I think that deck actually has some potential. One good first stride, and that deck's insane. And not much to really say on that regard. I don't pay attention enough to Premium to really know how the format will pan out, especially when we've got Premium Collection on the horizon and what kind of bullshit that's going to bring into the game. We're already starting to see Cray Elementals being made that are meant to counteract these massive hand-size decks, I guess. So we'll probably see some more Cray Elementals that are meant to curb the insanity that is Premium. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about that one. And that is it for the Q&A. Thank you guys for asking your questions. The next one of these will come out around May or June. I haven't decided which. The answers will definitely be in June, so keep an eye out for that. As far as the next video on this channel goes, hopefully it'll be a tournament results video. It just ultimately depends on what's happening over in the OCG and their situation in regards to the coronavirus. But until then, this is BooStar89 jacking out.
Take this! You're finished!
It's my turn! Yeah! Let's go!
Go wild! Crazy hunt!
It's my turn!
Thunder of the roiling heavens! Fall to the battlefield!
Let's go!
Take this! You're finished!
I'm up! Yeah! Let's go! Let's go! It's my turn! My blade, calm as still water. Now!
Action slash! Fatal leaves!